I didn't strive for success. I strived to do something artistically important.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Broward Exchange, and we are live this episode. We
Hell
are here.
yeah.
We did it. We're no longer trapped in the computers. Now, this is a special episode. Our computer overlords will put us back into them. But
I'm not looking forward to it. I don't want to go back.
we're
To
going
cyberspace, bro.
back to cyberspace. But from cyberspace, we have brought you a special album today that Lewis has brought. What did you bring, Lewis?
I brought Wolf Girl by Machine Girl, and that should come as a surprise if you've been keeping up with this podcast so far. Mostly because I typically do rock records, jazz records. I'm a musician that likes real instrumentation, well, real acoustic instrumentation, guitars, piano, drums, all that good stuff. But today I decided to challenge myself, go outside the box, and bring you guys Machine Girl. And Nick, what did you bring us?
I went to the opposite of cyberspace. I dug through the archives, deep internet rabbit holes. I rate your music, and I found this album called Commas First Utterance. Weird album, freaky album. We'll get on to it, but today we'll start with Lewis. So,
Yeah.
Lewis, Machine Girl, what abyss did this come from?
What abyss did this come from? So one of my favorite albums of all time is Sweet Trip, right?
Yes.
And you notice, like, I've been obsessed with this.
Yes.
With Velocity Design and Comfort by Sweet Trip. And it was hard for me to find stuff like that because I'm completely outside of the electronic music game. Like, I know the big names like Aphex Twins, Venetian Snares, Daft Punk, like, of course, like, I know those guys, but that's about it. So I legitimately just went on Spotify, like, sounds like Sweet Trip, and I found a great playlist that had a lot of stuff. And there was two tracks off this album that were in that playlist. One was Ghost, and another one was Hidden Power, and both of those I thought kicked ass. And I was like, oh, let me check out this record, and I saved it. Like, I saved it, like, and then, like, the listening list kept on going. And I think I spoke to a few people at a local show. We were there for, it was like an emo, shoegaze, math rock sort of thing. And they mentioned that they like Wolf Girl, and it's unlike anything they've ever heard. And I was like, bet. And I listened to it 2 years after I saved it.
Yeah, the whole thing.
I was like, wow, this is incredible. And I don't know, I brought it because, honestly, in my listening history, there's nothing else like it. Now that I've done some research, done some looking around, it's not as unique as I thought it was, but it opened the doorway to a lot of more extreme versions of electronic music that I felt like there wasn't really anything there. Like, I knew that drum and bass was a thing, but I was like, it's just like hype music, Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really, like, super creative. It's the almond beat 5,000 times, like,
Yeah.
which in some cases, yeah, but there's still more to it. And this album helped me realize that.
Because when I listen to this album, I am also not super big on electronic music. I mean, I heard it as like, yeah, this is pumping. This is like chuk chuk. First time I heard it was at the gym, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is like increasing my bench press by 10 pounds. Just
Exuding adrenaline.
Exuding adrenaline. So what about it makes it so, like, special? Like,
for me, it's that every single track. Okay, so for most drum and bass that I've been exposed to up to that point,
yeah,
it was like the almond break over synths, and I know this is not a drum and bass album. This is actually a combination of a shit ton of extreme electronic genres. So much so that it's, like, almost absurd to the point that it doesn't really make sense. And
yeah.
I also like that this album, like, points to that. So
It doesn't take itself super seriously.
it doesn't take itself super seriously, but also it doesn't like stick itself into one tradition, because that's the thing with these like really niche subgenres of electronic music, is they got their rules, they got their niches, they got their audience that are usually like located in one specific like city or region.
Yeah, they have like a tendency to be formulaic.
Well,
I feel like.
Yeah, and that
would be
was the thing in the '90s, especially because like you had to be formulaic, because the way people would listen to this music wouldn't be like on the radio; it would be at a club, where a DJ is mixing the two tracks together. It's got to be very similar BPM, very similar keys, very similar like rhythmic patterns in general, and so these guys are designing those tracks with that in mind, of like, okay, even if I make a super dope track at 220 BPM, I can't play that at a jungle show. No DJ is gonna play that. Like, they might slow it down like crazy, but why would they do that when there's a bunch of other jungle tracks?
Yeah. That's when the function over form kind of messes with like any kind of club music. We were talking about this when we talked about Mezzanine, where you are kind of limited to the function of your music to an extent. So is the Machine Go just not care?
It doesn't care, because it came out of a tradition of like, well, first of all, the creator of Machine Girl, what was it, Matt Stevenson? He's so Machine Girl is a duo. It's Matt Stevenson, who's like the main producer, and then a drummer named Sean Kelly. Sean Kelly came later. He was helping Matt from the very beginning, but like he wasn't really an official part of the band until much later. And then Matt even started doing vocals, and they were coming in from, and I think the reason why they don't care is because they're not coming in from the rave scene. Like, they like electronic music, they like a lot of like super weird producers, but they just like listen to it at home. They don't go out and rave. And they were much more, they would go to hardcore punk shows and a lot of noise rock shows. And they're like, what if we start making the punk of the future? You know?
Wait, there's a name for that.
There's like a shit ton of names for that, right?
No, there's a specific name for that.
No, are you thinking of future funk?
I was thinking of cyberpunk.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah, right? And that's something that the album exudes. It's like, it's the punk of like the cyberpunk world, like the true music of that world. Yeah. And you can even notice that more as the discography continues. I didn't send you any. I sent you this one album because it's, first of all, really good, the one that got me into it, and second of all, it doesn't have any harsh vocals, which I know you're like, you know.
Well, it depends. I like punky stuff, but what kind of harsh vocals are you talking? You're talking like
no, I mean, it's not like black metal or like anything like that. It's just like what you think like hardcore punk vocals over these tracks.
Oh, okay. I do like that.
Oh, okay.
Kind of a connoisseur.
Then I highly recommend, because like that sort of punk element comes out even more and more as the discography continues. And this is like almost like they're hiding behind electronic music. Like, we're not yet like digital.
This is there for you. We're protecting you.
We're protecting you. And I've listened to it, especially shout out to my other favorite on the discography, is Because I'm Young, Stupid, and Arrogant.
Oh my god, and that is so punky.
No, Because I'm Young, Stupid, Arrogant, and Hate Everything. That's the album name.
That's the most punk album name of all time.
Yes, and I can't tell you how well it fits. And I love that someone's. Oh, okay. That's something else I wanted to bring up. I really admired, as someone who used to do punk, the idea of like, okay, let's get out of this thing of bar chords on distorted guitars and blast beats. Yeah. Like, let's actually do music that is rebellious, that breaks rules, and that reflects the world, honestly. Yeah. And not just whatever the fuck Black Flag was doing in the 80s. As cool as that they are. Yeah. And because like these guys like you, they're inspired by a lot of electronic music, like the ones I mentioned, like the big names. But they're also inspired by a lot of Japanese noise rock, a lot of Black Flag, a lot of math rock, even some Zappa. And huge fans of Dillinger Escape Plan. And and it reflects also in. I think there's a lot of songs that have structure that makes it really hard to become like dance or club music that wouldn't be there if it wasn't for those influences.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, no, for those reasons, I consider it very special amongst some other ones, you know?
Yeah, for me, this reminded me a lot of like video game music. Of like,
what type of video game?
I'm thinking like Super Nintendo, like a 16-bit like bangers. There's some bangers out there for anyone else. Plock, look it up if you like this.
I don't know shit about
look
video
up
games.
The Silver Surfer theme.
Well, okay. I know that much.
You know that one?
Yeah, that one's a banger.
That one's a banger. But I thought they were from that. I'm more surprised that there's a bigger musical tradition here of punk and whatnot. I thought they were like more like the Chronically Online kind of.
Well, this was like what punk looks like in the age of the Chronically Online.
Oh, the
future. You know,
future.
because before it was the age of the chronically watching like B movies or like horror movies or you know, this is like the reflection of the media has now become this of very DIY and and the DIY aesthetic still sits. That's why I consider it punk, because none of these guys are making it to be like, I'm going to be a millionaire rock star. It's like, I would be so happy if this shit gets played in the dingiest, gringiest, grimiest underground rave of all time.
Yeah.
But people love it, you know?
There's like 40 people there max.
They're sweaty as fuck.
They're so sweaty. There's literally sweat on the floor.
Yeah.
From that much sweat being everywhere.
Yeah. And the lights are like nauseating.
Oh, I've been to one of those.
But somehow dark. Like you can't see shit.
Yeah, somehow it's still dark. Everyone's face is just a blur.
Yeah.
Yeah. But wow. So what do you take from this? Like, has this influenced your writing of music anyways? Because your first album, Corazon, to me was really like electronic, but was that more of like you had to make it electronic? What you did, or?
I think so. I think a lot of it was like, we're not even thinking like, oh, electronic acoustic is like, I want this sound. However the fuck it's done. But and then if you search online, most of the tutorials are like, this is how electronic music producers would sample a track, slow down a track, reverse it, add you know. And I really like that about the underground EDM scene. During my research, a lot of it was people are super open about what samples they use. People are super open about what software they use, and they're always putting out music for free.
Yeah, there's like a pirate vibe to all this.
Yeah,
or a punk vibe to all this. But punk in like the sense of, you know, being an outlaw. Like they don't
give a fuck, and they are very against like the censoring of music, or even like the ideas of music needs to be pretty, or music needs to be like popularly accessible, and it's like no, not even machine accessible. Like there's some songs out there from the more hardcore EDM is like, this shit's not safe to play at max volume from your bass speakers. Like it will blow your shit up.
It's like a virus in musical form.
No, it's like they took every single aspect of the music. It's like, how can we make this overwhelming? And it's an art form.
Yeah.
That's how you get Death Grip's System Blower.
Yeah. What do you think when did this album come out?
2014.
This album came out in 2014. So do you think this has like impacted the electronic scene since then?
I think so. Sometimes in ways that the original community did not want.
Oh.
So for breakcore, I know a lot of people will say that. Okay, so when you go on Rate Your Music,
yeah,
you go on WLFGRL, you see their album genres. They have breakcore there. Most people in the community of breakcore, especially pre-WLFGRL, will say WLFGRL is not breakcore because it's outside of the community, it's outside of the tradition, and not just that, it's slightly out there in song structures. But even more so, it brought in. I feel like all this hate was given retrospectively because it brought in a bunch of people that wanted to make stuff that just sounds like Wolf Girl, and then be like, this is what breakcore is. So you have like producers like Sewer Slut that became really big, and it's like instead of doing their own thing, it's just a bunch of stuff that sounds like Sewer Slut with very, very similar artwork, very, very similar production. And it's always some like cover, some lo-fi cover of like Serial Experiments Lane. And like they're sampling from all the same movies. So it doesn't really have that punk, do-it-yourself, this is our sounds sort of feel.
Yeah, it's more of a, they're just trying to capture an aesthetic.
Because Wolf Girl blew up and they're like, oh shit, we can do this too.
Yeah.
And now there's like, it's super derivative that when you search up breakcore on SoundCloud, and you got to use like other words for it now. Or you got to like really dig or know your DJs.
Yeah. Well, I think that happens to any punk artist. They get this issue if they're really breaking the mold where they're kind of uncategorifiable, whatever the word is.
Yeah.
And people, when they're trying to like copy influence, it's not so much, you can't really label it anymore. Mm-hmm. It's just, this sounds like Machine Girl. And what does that mean? It's a conjunction of a lot of things, to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of electronic elements.
You know how I was saying like like the amount of genres it's connected to is like absurd.
Yeah.
To the point of ridiculousness. I think what happened is that EDM had a bunch of these like independent agricultural revolutions.
Yeah.
That are tied in specifically with like with the equipment they use. Mm. So while Chicago was going from house to jungle.
Yeah.
In England, they're going from IDM to drum and bass. But it's the similar things. It's like they both got access to really fast drum machines with really crazy bass, and now they can do really fast electronic music. It sounds very similar, except that they're really early examples of both of those genres. Like, okay, early jungle still has elements of Chicago house.
Yeah. And
early drum bass still has elements of IDM and ambient. Yeah. But that thing like kind of like disappears and it becomes its own thing. And then even more so, you get further into the late 90s, you have drum and bass that's influenced a lot by house, and you have jungle influenced a lot by ambient.
Yeah, they converge.
It just converges, and then bring in the internet into this.
This is what I was thinking. Like, the internet has made it to where, okay, you have the Chicago and the UK, but they're rooted in their own little cultures of music of whatever they grew up from. Like I know for the UK, they really love electronic house. They have a lot of clubs over there, and that drum and bass kind of came from that as a way to like it's a dancing music kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But I get with Chicago, you kind of have like the hip hop elements, and then there's how jungle gets in there.
Well,
and whatnot.
The hip hop elements then influence footwork, but it's the same thing. Like footwork is like they were able to achieve the same BPM with the same drum kick.
The term for this is independent agricultural revolution. They came up with the same stuff despite separately.
And I know that people are going to hit me in the comments being like, no, there's intricacies between all the genres. I'm sure there is. But I, as an outsider, like unless I do like some really deep historical...
Start interviewing people and stuff.
Like I really can't tell. And it's gotten to the point where in 2010, we finally get to breakcore.
Yeah.
Which is like a infusion of a bunch of these genres with even further stuff from Japanese electronic music, where it just becomes like, oh, it's just extreme EDM. We're right back to extreme EDM.
Yeah, we looped.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The internet comes in, and now with the internet, anybody can be influenced by anything.
Yeah, and which I think is a beautiful thing.
That's how you get Wolf Girl.
That's how you get Wolf Girl.
That's how you get Wolf Girl.
That's how you get like these like two high school teens being like, I like Aphex Twin, but I also like Dillinger Escape Plan, but I also like Death Grips.
I like that.
Yeah, like, and they're like,
just find it. You have rate your music. You can go
and
crazy.
And they're like, do we want to do hip hop, punk, or EDM? Yes, like
the world is your oyster.
Exactly.
You can do whatever you want now, and you have all of the tools to use it. So, do you think like Wolf Girl kind of signifying the end of local cultures really having much of an impact? Because every musician Well, I'm knowing every musician from nowadays is kind of influenced by everything, and it's hard to see because they have internet. And I'm thinking of this when I think of stuff like JPEG Mafia, like modern Danny Brown, like anything pretty much.
I think the death of the local scene came with Arctic Monkeys, because Arctic Monkeys were the first ones to release all of their stuff digitally, and get worldwide recognition from that. Like, they were a breakout success without being signed, doing all their shit digitally, doing promotion digitally, and it became the indie rock sound.
Yeah.
It was sounding like the Arctic Monkeys or sounding like the Strokes for the early 2000s. And that's when, because then you had motherfuckers that wanted to sound like the Arctic Monkeys and the Strokes everywhere, like all over the planet.
Yeah.
And because at that point it breaks down, at least from what I see, that came from those albums. But I think Machine Girl is, along with some other electronic, some other like really weird stuff that came out in the mid 2010s, marks the beginning of people trying to make music that's really postmodern, ugly in some ways, digitally abrasive, overwhelming, in order to bring about like a new form of like punk music. And some artists that would include in this in order to make this sound a little less abstract is Death Grips, for sure.
I see the Death Grips as well. I thought that was a big influence on this.
Oh yeah, for sure. The Garden, Clowncore.
Concord, yeah.
And there's you mentioned Danny Brown, JPEG Mafia.
Danny Brown.
Like all these artists that like brought industrial to the digital age.
This made me think a lot of early JPEG. I forgot his real name, but you know how he has tracks from his real name? It's like something Hendrix.
Oh, Devin Hendrix.
Devin Hendrix. If you go on Spotify and look up Devin Hendrix, that's just early JPEG before he like started rapping. And you'll hear like video game samples. His stuff is more ambient and like long than the Machine Girl.
I would think it's like really influential on vaporwave. It's just this was before vaporwave became really ambient.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I think to this day there's people that would argue, because there's two artists that are arguably the beginning of vaporwave, and make this even more confusing. They're pseudonyms of the two more bigger artists. So there's Devin Hendrix, who's a pseudonym for JPEG, and then there's Saint Pepsi, which is a pseudonym for One of Tricks Point Never. And both of these guys released these, like kind of like released these on SoundCloud, like without thinking about it. Just like it's like, this is like a fun little project.
And then 5 years later,
it's a
YouTube
cultural phenomenon.
A YouTube playlist picks it up and puts the cool background.
Yeah. I really want to. Oh, One of Tricks Point Never. I would put in that category. He's much older, but like he did pick up that like thing of like, okay, we're doing industrial, we're doing overwhelming, we're doing like genre-less music. But it's mostly like those five that I think one thing that separates those five from other artists is angst. Because usually angst comes in the form of rock music, which is like we've been doing that since the 70s.
Forever.
Right? Like, or it's digital music that's really polished, so it's not really angsty. Like,
nah, Avicii is not angsty.
Yeah.
Avicii's actually the last time I was happy was when I was playing that.
Hell, even like other like breakcore predecessors are not really angsty. Like they're really cool and hardcore and brutal and diabolical, but not
angsty.
Yeah,
I can see this being a revolt to that early 2010s Avicii kind of. You know what I'm talking about? Electronic music, that pop electronic music that was coming around.
Yeah, but that's always been a thing with the extreme electronic subgenres. Like even in the 90s, they're revolting against house, right?
House.
In fact, all these genres that I told you about, that's like coming in from this scene or coming in from that scene, are revolting from the old thing.
Yeah.
They're like, we can do cooler, more badass stuff, and I don't care if people don't like it, you know?
Yeah. All of music history is just youngins hating what's on the radio. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's good or bad.
Well, you need that conflict. You need that competition. You need that fight. That's how good music is born.
Well, sure, but there is something to say about the traditions. And there's like, as in like, at least for some genres, it doesn't really make too much sense to be too irreverent. I get what you're saying of like we need people who come up with fresh ideas, but like the Beatles didn't have to hate Chuck Berry to improve on his shit.
You're saying there might be it might cause too much hate.
There might be stuff like
There's
you just like leave behind because you're hating on everything. And I like the Ramones are not an example of this. The Ramones actually took a lot from pop rock, but like the Sex Pistols. The Sex Pistols like kind of like they're revolting against everything, including decent pop rock. Like cliches.
Like they're revolting against the Beatles.
They're revolting against good taste itself.
Good music. Like, I do think you get too much to where you're just like annoying, kind of.
You're just annoying. Like, and what was it? I forgot which rapper. I remember like in the glory days of trap rapping, there was like this rapper's like I'm better than any of them. I'm better than Tupac. Fuck Tupac. I'm better than Biggie. Fuck Biggie. And it wasn't Kanye. Before anyone hits the comments being like, that just sounds like Kanye.
It just sounds like every trap rapper. I don't know.
Exactly. Like I don't even remember which one it was. And it's like, sure, that's cool, but what else are you bringing to the table?
Yeah, and it's worse for hip hop because hip hop needs to build upon itself.
Yeah,
it's a conversational kind of genre.
Okay, I think that's what I'm getting at. Is like for some genres it works, for others it doesn't. For electronic music, it definitely does work. For electronic music, that angst, that like I'm gonna do something completely different, completely wild, is really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because of that, for all those reasons, and even more so because of the aesthetic, I freaking love Wolf Girl.
It's got some beautiful parts to it, really. Like some of the samples. Like you're saying it's angsty, but some of the parts are like
gorgeous.
Like the opening track. What is the sample? Do you know the sample of the opening track?
The sample of the opening track comes from the movie Machine Girl, which is a Japanese B movie. It came out, I think, in the 2000s, like early 2000s.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It's like a crazy action movie that's like half horror.
Yeah. It's like some battle royale kind of weird stuff. Like.
Yeah, because it's literally in the movie, it's like about a chick who plots her revenge against the Yakuza that killed her family because like she lost her arm in the fight and she gets like a machine gun for an arm.
Yes.
That's some Japanese shit. Yeah. And if that doesn't really capture the essence of this album, I don't know what will.
What is the album cover? Because it's giving me like
there's
like B movie looks like a werewolf.
No. Have you ever seen the meme where it's like the golden retriever next to like the werewolf?
Yes.
Is that one?
Oh, wait, that werewolf. I know what you're talking about. That's Joe Rogan's dog next to a werewolf in Joe Rogan's like podcast studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that.
But it's that wolf.
It's that wolf.
It's that dog.
I really besides that I never really figured out beyond that. I just figured that wolf. The audience shall know.
That's Lewis's notes. That wolf.
that wolf.
You know.
Not Tyler.
Parentheses, Nick put a picture.
It'll be right here. Or right here. Or right here. Or right here. Or right here. Nick hates me. What else? Oh, and you mentioned the cyberpunk culture. And I did want to point out how similar the cyberpunk culture was to how breakcore has become, where it's a lot of people that do not have audiences that they play to is all in cyberspace. Like they have huge followings.
Yeah, I can imagine that, like huge internet followings.
And they're just releasing everything from their bedroom. And it's usually like a lot of these people are just figuring out electronic music as they go along, and they're like putting pieces together. And when I think of that, I think very much like guys in like some cyberpunk world that are like finding like little little trinkets in the garbage.
Yeah, doohickeys.
Like in like those like Wally like seas of like
yeah.
used like car parts. And they're just like
junk.
They're just like, oh, I'm gonna figure this shit out.
Yeah, they make themselves a new arm.
Yeah. And because of that, like the sampling choices are super creative. Where it's like, oh, I would never think about doing something like that. Like you know the Gabber Trap remix on the album?
Yeah.
Where it's like it's got like a Japanese like a high pitched Japanese singing with like the most distorted bass you have ever heard. Like you will think that whatever you're listening to is broken.
Yeah.
Because it just it's like stuff like that. It's like you don't get that unless you're like, I'm just working with what I got. Fuck it, dude. You know, like
you're just scrapping it up.
It's very non-perfectionist. It's very Frankensteinian.
Yeah. Well, you brought this up. There's a drummer. Are the drums?
Not on this record.
They're done like they're a real drummer. They're not like a drum machine.
No. On this record it's a drum machine for the most part. The drummer comes in later records. But
okay.
I'm gonna tell you right now, just from listening to later records, I can't tell the difference.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Because when you said that to me, I was like, "There's a drummer on this. This does not sound like a real drummer." Like
there are stuff that like from the drum machine that I'm like, a drummer wrote this.
Oh,
you know? Okay, remember the song "Ghosts"? It goes into like 6/8 towards the end.
Yeah,
and then it switches right back. I'm like, I've never heard that in any of my research in the electronic music. It's not much, but it's honest work. But all this stuff that's like traditionally drum bass, traditionally jungle, like they stick to their beat, and that's it. And when I heard that, I was like, that's a drummer that wrote that shit.
So, do a little spice in there, you know?
Yeah, and but yeah, say, you know, to this day, I still can't believe that about like Zach Hill. Like all the drums on Death Grips is Zach Hill playing it.
Yeah,
bro, go back to like Money Store, bro. Like that shit is in fucking insane.
Gee, he's a robot.
He is a robot.
Or maybe Zach Hill isn't real.
Oh, and these guys praise Zach Hill in like every single interview they can.
Oh, okay.
They're like, Zach Hill is a god.
Yeah, he is a really good drummer.
So yeah, and what do you have any other questions for me for Machine Girl?
What other albums would you recommend to anybody? They like this.
Okay.
I mean, we talked about some of them already, but
I need people to check out BYE2, BYE2, all together. If you like the synths on this, because I promise you, BYE2 has been my favorite artist I found in this research period. There's Sewer Slut is cool. I'd recommend it if you really dig the aesthetic of this particular album. And you want it is like, how can I get this, but like more sad boy? Yeah. Sewer Slut's fine. Golden Boy is fantastic if you like much more of the Japanese sampling, much more of the crazy plunderphonics sort of thing going. Listen to Aphex Twin. If you haven't listened to Aphex Twin,
well, that's kind of like, yeah.
No, I know that, but like, I guess like it's like for people who like listen to his record and don't know anything about electronic music. Where do I go? Listen to Ambient Works. Listen to Window Liquor EP, and even more importantly, there's a side project by Aphex Twin called The Tuss that not a whole lot of people know about. It's only on YouTube, unfortunately. It's acid techno, which is just really synthy techno with a very particular like LFO synth. That's great. It's like acid techno and really early drum and bass put together. I think that's also fantastic, especially if you like tracks like Hidden Power.
Yeah. Hidden Power, that's got to be like a Pokemon reference for anyone in the comments, because Hidden Power is like a move in Pokemon.
I think it's like it could be like for any video game.
Yeah,
it's like, you have activated my final form.
Hidden Power. Yeah.
It could very well be a video game Pokemon reference.
It's hard to say now.
There's so many things that this could be like pointed to.
This could be just like it could be a random YouTube video that they saw that it has like 200 views.
Yeah, there's like
you have no idea.
There's cyber cafes that could be from a shit ton of stuff.
Yeah.
I love the Post Maximus Rave is a great song title. Yeah. And shit, what was I on? I was talking about listen to Death Grips if you like the distorted aspects of this album, the really like really crunchy aspects, and if you like the hip hop production, not necessarily the industrial aspects, highly recommend DJ Rashad's Double Cup. I think I'll put it down in the description. It's a footwork album that's such great bass. It is such a great way to test out your car speakers. Like it's like almost remember DJ Screw?
Yeah.
It's like bassier than that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's just like you're just going to see a.
If you want a massage in your car,
DJ Screw or DJ Rashad, search them up. It's like deeper than lean music, probably. And yeah, and these little intricacies are what I say about like these genres all sound the same, but they got like little stuff here and there. Footwork is going to be the bassiest one, but like unless you're really paying attention, really read up on these things, it's really hard to pick up.
Yeah, and anyone in the comments, you got more that people like, go ahead
and
put them down there.
If I'm wrong about anything electronic music, please correct me in the comments. I'm really new to this. I want to make a huge disclaimer that my world is very much the psych rock world.
Yeah, I know there are like the patron saints of electronic music out there. You know, or they're like academic into it.
Oh, and I also want to make the huge disclaimer that I've never been to a rave. I can only imagine what it's like.
So we're just talking out our ass.
We are talking out our ass. Not that it's much different this podcast, but
hours of footage of us talking out our ass.
Yeah, but yeah, no. Highly recommend those. All of those.
So wait, one final conversational point.
Okay.
We kind of went into it, but so do you think this future of the internet being able to influence everyone and everything is a positive or a benefit or a negative to music? To where anybody can be influenced by anything. It's really hard to figure out what someone is influenced by unless they like talk about it specifically. Anyone can release music. It's like an open proliferation.
So for me, my point of contention would be like, what do you define as influenced? Because there's people that are influenced by Machine Girl to put out derivative garbage, like I just told you, that sounds like Sewer Slut on SoundCloud, and just like fuck things up thinking that they're going to get a career.
Yeah. Or
there's guys that are influenced by Machine Girl, like I want to do something similar but slightly different. And then there's guys that are inspired. They're like, I make stuff that's like nothing to do with whatever the fuck Machine Girl is, but they're doing their thing, and because of that, I'm doing my thing. So in that order would be like worst case to best case scenario for what you just explained to me.
But I also think you just get more of each case. You get more people are making and releasing music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, but at the end of the day, I think that the cases are also, with those three cases in mind, like they kind of like grow at different levels. Like there's way more people that, I don't know. Actually, it's hard to say because like for certain things, there's way more people that are like, oh, that's easy and derivative. Let me just make money doing that.
Yeah.
And then there's like a lot of people that listen to the same artist and they're like, there's no way we can pull that off.
Yeah.
Like no, like the reason why, like the best case scenario that I was talking about, inspired by, you'd be hard pressed to find any electronic producer that isn't inspired by Aphex Twin.
Yeah.
But you're also going to be hard pressed to find any electronic music that sounds like Aphex Twin. Because like they don't even try. They're like, dude, that guy is on a different planet.
You told me a story once where like he would be sleeping, Aphex Twin, and he would like wake up and like have a beat in his head, and he just like run to his like home office and make it.
His wife says that that's a very common thing.
It happens to him,
and it happened throughout. I forgot what the album was called. It's got like a green green circle on it.
I know which one you're talking
That
about.
that one in particular.
He was
that one is like sleep deprivation music.
You would like dream a beat, hit it, like wake up.
Yeah. Also, do keep in mind, and if this is why I'm really hesitant to do an Aphex Twin episode. A lot of the shit he said in interviews when he first got famous are like shit posts.
He's trolling.
Like he's
I know
trolling
he's a
like
troll.
hardcore.
I know he's like a notorious troll. When it
Yeah.
comes to like, oh, how do you make music? Oh, I don't know, fart it out. Like,
No, like he's like, I don't listen to music. I listen to sounds. Go by my house, listen to like, what does a refrigerator sound like? It's like,
you gotta tell me that right when I drink the coffee.
or he's like, you know, I write all my music lucid dreaming. like it's just like, bro, what? And he says it with such like conviction. I'm like, I can't tell if he's lying. And worse off if it's a written interview.
Like, you can't tell the sarcasm. I want to bring up one time I watched Mad Lib. He did this Red Bull interview.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 hours, but in the whole 2 hours, the interview is being like, how do you come up with these beats? How do you come up with so many beats? You're so prolific, man. Where'd you get this musical sense? And Mad Lib is like this. He's got like a sunglasses, fucking coat. He's dripped out maximum.
Right.
He's like this. Man, it's just in me, man. Musical family. I'm just like that. For 2 hours. For 2 hours. He refuses to answer any intricacies or anything. What's crazy is MF Doom did the same interview, same guy, same Red Bull thing. And MF Doom, the guy who is behind that mask, is actually like talking about like where it comes from and how he kind of does it to an extent.
Right.
Yeah, Mad Lib, man, it's in my DNA. That's it. Yeah. So, any closing thoughts, Wolf Girl?
You want a new PR? Listen to Machine Girl at the gym.
Yeah.
You want to get there faster than you ever did?
Yeah.
Listen to Machine Girl on the way there.
You want to like smash computers against each other?
I mean, Machine Girl already did it, but you can do it too.
You can do it too. The world is your oyster. Remember that, kids.